Hello, everybody watching and those watching on record later. There is the big dealio of the Masters 2026. It is over. We had the final yesterday, played over two sessions, best of 19 frames. And it was a final that not many people would argue did not live up to the expectation. Given their semi-finals were absolute epics, both won in last frame deciders after coming back from frames down. We were expecting a massive battle and a brilliant, exciting like final over both sessions. It just didn't deliver. It was an odd final. Quite often in a lot of sports, the final often doesn't deliver because both players are like there's nerves, there's tension, there's like that the big trophies on the line, so they're hoping to get over the line some way more than like having to like take the risks. But in snooker, quite often, people play in purple patches, and quite often those purple patches for both players hit at the same time where they like egg each other on to like go back and forth. But it just didn't happen in this. For John Higgins especially, he was obviously disappointed. He referred to his performance just immediately after. I think this is one of the more cruel aspects of snooker. Immediately after the match finishes, shake hands, the media are out there and they're interviewing. I think John was interviewed maybe 1 minute after the final, maybe 90 seconds. But yeah, he obviously, as gracious as he always is, he tipped his hat to Kyren and said he played fantastically, but he just said he was rubbish. He didn't gloss over it. He said it finished 10-6. But he says it wasn't even a 10-6 match. And I would agree with that. Kyren Wilson was probably playing 3 out of 5 for anyway. He didn't play near his best either, but I think John's performance was 1 out of 5. He opened up with a pretty decent opening frame. He took the first frame with a 58, and then in the second he was 51 up, and he just missed a really easy red. Kyren got on the board but didn't capitalize initially. It got back to John, and John then missed an even easier red. And I don't know what it is, but I think from there the game just went on him, and it was a tough watch because John Higgins is my favorite player. Has been since the mid '90s when he started really making a name for himself. 50 years old now, obviously. He won't get many more chances, and he will be bitterly disappointed that he didn't just show anything in this final after that opening frame, because we saw him in the opening frame and I was sitting there going, this could be it. He's looking well, he's cueing well. Then those mistakes it seemed to snowball so heavily, and it just created this turgid, really attritional final. Both players just riddled with mistakes. Kyren just had that little bit of extra fluency. The match, it was 3 when Higgins got he lost 3 on the bounce, he was 3-1 down, then pulled back to really slow playing frames. 2 frames for the purists to level it up. And then I was sitting there going, this is going to be a tough watch. And then Kyren Wilson in the last 2 frames of the afternoon session rounded off 2 centuries. Absolutely amazing back-to-back centuries. And now we're going, he has set the stall up now. John Higgins has to attack. This has got to be it. But when the evening came in, it just didn't transpire. It was more of the same, really. Neither player were cueing right. The positional play was terrible. Mistakes were dropping in left, right, and center. Higgins his play became really ponderous. He was taking his average time. He isn't the fastest player, so his average time for a shot is always been around mid-20s, 26 seconds. It was hitting 36, 40 seconds at some points. Over the course of a couple of frames, I think he finished on maybe, I think it was 31 seconds shot average. And it's just, when you're doing that and you're still missing, it becomes even worse in your own head. I talked in the previous episode about how snooker is quite a psychological sport, because if you make that mistake, you've just got to sit down and watch that other player make the shots that you should have done. But in this one, I think Higgins' spectacular fall off so early in the game might have affected Kyren as well. Kyren played it better in patches. And he got over the line, obviously, but I think for a while, like the psychological element, both players were just gone at a point. I think they were just resigned to making mistakes, to winning scrappy frames, and to end up at a 16-frame final. Were 2 frames, you could say, some like, and both were Kyren Wilson. Played well in 2 frames out of 16. Just wasn't brilliant, but you got to take into the fact that both of those guys in their quarters and semis also made comebacks, and like long sapping matches, 4 to 5 hours long. Really, really, like, they both looked broken. They both looked out in those semi-finals, especially, and then managed to come back and just spectacular play. But I think for John, it was one step too far. For what he's achieved in the game, 9 times, 9 times Triple Crown winner, 4 World Championships, 3 UKs, and 2 Masters already. He's allowed an off day, but he will be absolutely furious at himself that he chose today to have, like yesterday, to have the off day, because Kyren he found his form, but he was beatable. With the way John was coming back, he was gettable. He could have been got there, but John just, I don't want to say he handed him the title, but his play was so ponderous. I think that's why Wilson. I think that's why Kyren Wilson got those last 2 frames before the afternoon session finished. When he hit those centuries, I think he was just like, enough of this, let's go. But he couldn't maintain it in the evening session when Higgins came out, and the play was very similar. Well, like, there was one frame, but there was the 11th frame when John missed a black off the spot. And then there was 20 minutes of absolute just madness, just really misjudging, both players misjudging shots, like trying to cut in when they should have been playing safeties, or trying to cut in these long pots when a safety would have been much wiser. Eventually, John Higgins got it. I think it was about 23, 24 minutes after he had the ball to win the frame. He finally got over the line, but even that probably took more energy out of him than just losing the frame, maybe, and going on to the next one, because it's psychologically must be so draining to know that you should have had that in the bag and you should be a frame behind, and you've just let it go. And no, it was not a great performance. It wasn't a great final, but delighted for Kyren Wilson. He had just, like, said at the start of the tournament that he had lost his confidence. He felt like he was mentally struggling at the UK Championship, where he got knocked out in the first round in December past. His cue that he won the World Championship with in 2024 was broken in what he just refers to as a freak accident. So not really knowing what's going on there, but he said Father Christmas was kind to him because he was given a new cue. He got it modified so he could, like, feel the weight of it, and the weight of the cueing through each shot suited him, and it's worked a dream for him, because he's come out after feeling like he'll never reach the latter stages or the big, like, finals, or get over the line in a big tournament again. As little as 6 weeks ago he said that, and now he's major champion. He's won his second Triple Crown event, and who's to stop him going over into the Crucible in April and doing the same thing and winning another world title? Because the way he played over the tournament, not necessarily the final, where I think of the final as just an anomaly, that I think he has the ability to be able to do that. He's brilliant in multi-session play as well. So I look forward to seeing him in the World Championship, but there's plenty more snooker, of course, before April. So, like, a disappointing final, but the tournament as a whole has provided, from the first round, where all 8 first-round matches finished with the same 6-2 scoreline. We'll never see the likes of that again. I said earlier in the week that it looked, I think there was some odds checkers that were doing what are the odds of all 8 finish. After 5, it was like a £1 bet would have got you maybe something like 75,000. They calculated it, so all 8 rounds, if somebody had to put a buck on that, they would have got 220 grand. So, like, you'll never see it again. It was absolutely crazy. But the matches weren't all high quality. There were some great outstanding performances in the first round, but the main thing of that was the 6-2. Another great highlight, of course, was Wu Yizhe. He's come through first time at the Masters. Obviously, he lost that 5-3 lead in the semi-final to Higgins, but like we can forgive him that because he lit up the tournament. He was brilliant. He's very attacking, very forward thinking, and he's just one of the many players from China that look like they're going to dominate the game from years to come. Another big highlight, of course, you can't. Kyren, of course, with that one, but John Higgins to get to this stage of a major event at the age of 50, one of the Triple Crown events, when it felt like it wasn't going to happen for him again, but he's had a change of mentality in the last year. He's playing better for it. That was his first Masters final in 20 years. So like here, if he keeps up that mentality, the future's ahead of him. But I feel there's a concern about the longer grind. So that was a best of 19. When you get to the sort of stages of the World Championship, we're playing like best of 35. So like, can he get to that stage where he can grind through 2-day long matches, 4 sessions? I'm not sure about that, but he should just, like, obviously after the disappointment, he should just savor what he's done in this week because he's been absolutely brilliant. And in the semi-final and quarterfinals, he just showed really what classic John Higgins is all about. And of course, Judd, after Barron 2025, Judd Trump had a golden opportunity to make the final, but a damaging semi-final defeat. Can bring up thoughts. Is there a psychological issue about him getting over the line? There could be. He had a few bites of the cherry last year, and just in the finals especially, and he didn't play badly in the finals. He was just up against other players who were just in peak form. He had a golden chance to make the final this time. He was cueing brilliantly. It just seemed to tail away towards the end of his semi-final. So we hope for better. He's too good not to win a title this year. I'm sure he'll get over the line, but he'll be one that more than anyone in the next couple of weeks because it's the longer it goes on, the worse it's going to be for him. But that's just the way snooker goes sometimes. Like it is just a toss of the coin. You can like hit a purple patch and then just find somebody who's just like determined to get back into that match and like drag themselves back in. But reason for concern from Judd. I'm sure he'll be chatting to his team about that. But he's too good not to win it. But it is a worthy of a conversation that there could be a psychological issue around it. Next up for the snooker calendar, we have the German Masters, which starts next week, so not really much rest. That's in Berlin. So that'll take place from the 26th of January to the 1st of February. And then straight after that, it's the World Grand Prix, 3rd of February to the 8th of February in Hong Kong. So somebody making the finals of Germany then has to potentially travel to Hong Kong to take part in the next ranking event. It is one of the bugbears of the snooker tour. A lot of players have talked about the sort of travel where you're going to England one week and then like jumping on a plane to China, to like Hong Kong, to back to England, then back to China, Saudi Arabia, Scotland, Northern Ireland. It is very hectic, but until there's a plan put in place to change that, or maybe the centralized tournaments like they do sort of in tennis, it will continue to be the way it is at the minute. But those are the big 2 tournaments coming up. I will be doing a weekly show at the end of each of those tournaments just to wrap up what happened, the main events, talking points. But the Masters is over. Kyren Wilson, the deserved champion, and I will see you soon for the wrap up of the Berlin German Masters. Take care, guys, and have a great day.